Race 334 is the final of the PR3 mixed double scull. And the field that we have, Balmain Nestles in lane number 2, Leichhardt Balmain in lane 3, Drummoyne University of Queensland in lane number 4, Australian National University Boat Club in lane number 5, Balmain PLC Sydney in lane number 6, and Team Hong Kong in lane 7.
So we are approaching the first 500 metre mark in the PR3 mixed double scull. And the crew in front there, you can see is Mac Russell from the University of Queensland and Julia Story of the Drummoyne Rowing Club, who've taken a pretty comfortable advantage here in the opening stage of this race. Mac Russell third place yesterday in the PR3 single scull, combining now with Julia Story in a pretty strong looking combination there in this double scull. The PR3 mixed double, it's a World Championship event, not yet on the Paralympic program, but it is raced at World Championships. So an important part of the international para-rowing program. And you can see there that the Drummoyne University of Queensland combination have gone through in 1:53.69 with a lead of almost 8 seconds. 7.78 seconds is the lead to Mac Russell and Julia Story from the Australian National University. Alongside them in lane 5, Ian Cooper and Sue Donoghue. And third place would be the Leichhardt and Balmain combination. Bronte Marshall of Balmain and William Clifton of Leichhardt. We saw William Clifton yesterday in the single scull as well. Just 15 years of age, if I recall correctly from Lizzie Chapman's information at the time, and obviously fairly new to the sport, but doing a great job in one of his first regattas. Sitting there in third place at this stage, ahead of the Balmain Nestles combination. They're racing on the far side of the course, lane 2. Aaron Skinner of Nestles, a club from Warrnambool in Victoria, and Stephanie Walker of Balmain. Team Hong Kong are there as well in lane 7. Ming Yu, Kelvin Law and Wang Sin Lu. Plenty of support here for Team Hong Kong. Looks like in the crowds as well. And they're sitting in about 5th place at this stage of the race, ahead of Balmain and PLC Sydney on lane 6. Eleanor Taylor of Presbyterian Ladies College Sydney and Nikolai Olding of the Balmain Rowing Club. Mac Russell and Julia Story continue to be our race leaders here, and very comfortably so now as they go through halfway. 3:49.97 the time there for our leading crew from Drummoyne and the University of Queensland. And they've taken that margin out to a very significant 18.45 seconds over the Leichhardt Balmain crew. So they've moved up into 2nd place. Bronte Marshall and William Clifton, coached by Kerry Thorne and Barbara Ramjan at the Leichhardt and Balmain clubs. And just back 1 spot into 3rd now, the experienced combination from the Australian National University. And that's the crew of Ian Cooper and Sue Donoghue there in 3rd place. And Team Hong Kong may well be up into 4th now as well. But our race leaders there very, very comfortable indeed. Julia Story in the stroke seat there. Julia Story from Drummoyne actually finished in 3rd place yesterday in the PR3 women's single scull, and Mac Russell of the University of Queensland was 3rd in the male event a few races later. So they have combined with a very successful combination here, and coming into clear review as they approach the 1500 metre mark. Mac Russell and Julia Story, coached by Michael Russell and Kathleen Hextall. Not sure how much racing or training this combination would have done together. Julia Story obviously based here in Sydney. Mac Russell in Brisbane, where he rose for the University of Queensland Boat Club, and he was also contesting some of the lightweight sculling events at this regatta. So it's been a busy week already for Mac Russell. He's won the last 2 interstate men's PR3 single scull titles for Queensland as well, and I'm assuming we'll see him donning the state colours on Sunday again to try and make it 3 in a row. You can see there Mac Russell on screen in the bow seat. The white blades, the yellow blades of the stroke. Julia Story from the Drummoyne Rowing Club, and it is a very, very comfortable lead indeed for these 2 rowers. Marshall and Clifton of Leichhardt and Balmain continue in 2nd place in lane 3. And the Australian National University combination, Cooper and O'Donoghue, in 3rd place. A pretty good race between those 2 in lanes 3 and 5, still for 2nd place. The silver medal yet to be decided, but the gold almost in the bag, you'd have to think, for Drummoyne and the University of Queensland. Skinner and Walker of Balmain and Nestles over on the far side. In 4th position, Team Hong Kong. Lane 7 would be 5th, and Balmain composite crew, Balmain and Presbyterian Ladies College, Eleanor Taylor and Nikolai Olding in 6th place at this stage. But our leaders still with only 100 or so metres to go. Mac Russell from the University of Queensland and Julia Story from the Drummoyne Rowing Club here in Sydney. Both 3rd in the single scull event yesterday, but a big win collectively coming up now in the PR3 mixed double scull. Drummoyne and the University of Queensland take the win. Lane 4 across in 1st place, and a big win indeed. They had almost 18 seconds at the 1500 metre mark, and I reckon it might be a bit more than that now at the finish. So congratulations there between our winners. And we wait for this race for 2nd place to unfold. It looks as if the combination of Bronte Marshall and 15-year-old William Clifton on lane 3, coached by Kerry Thorne and Barbara Ramjam, will take out the silver medal in just a few strokes' time as they too approach the finish line now. And then 3rd, Australian National University, Ian Cooper and Sue Donoghue. So Leichhardt Balmain across in 2nd place. ANU will take out 3rd. They are the medalists in the PR3 mixed double scull, and they'll be followed home in 4th place by Balmain and Nestles over on the far side of the course. 5th will be Team Hong Kong on this side, and 6th will be Balmain and the Presbyterian Ladies College.
And unofficial results of the PR3 mixed double scull. First to Drummoyne and the University of Queensland. 2nd to Leichhardt Balmain. 3rd to the Australian National University Boat Club. Balmain Nestles 4th. Team Hong Kong will be 5th, and Balmain PLC Sydney will be 6th. Unofficial time 7:45.9. And margins 37.87, 9.77, 11.69.
And across the line to complete race 334 is the Balmain and Presbyterian Ladies College composite crew, Eleanor Taylor and Nikolai Olding. So they're all now across in the PR3 mixed double scull final.
Presentation of medals for the Open Lightweight Men's Double Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Jim Gibson, President of Rowing Tasmania. Third place and bronze medalist representing Corio Bay and Tasmania University Boat Club, Sam Casey of Tasmania University Boat Club. And Max Partington of Corio Bay Rowing Club. Coach Mark Stott. Second place and silver medalist, the University of Queensland, Liam McCoy. Morgan Hodgson. Coach Michael Russell. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, Buckingham Rowing Club and the Tasmanian Institute of Sport, Jacob Crow. And Alec Patterson is unable to attend. The crew coached by Peter Gibson. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists.
Thanks, Owen. We'll go straight to the first semi-final, the under-17 women's coxed quad scull, finishing right behind the presentation dais. 4 crews to go through. They're pretty much decided, but a line of 4 across the course as well. Rockhampton Grammar School, University of Queensland is farthest across. Queenwood, Centenary and Redlands there as well. They'll be the 4 qualifiers. Tasmania University is too far back, as are Cardinia International College, but still tight for first between Rockhampton Grammar School, University of Queensland and Queenwood in the centre lanes, holding off Centenary and Redlands as they head towards the line. It will be lane 3 who just gets the win. Rockhampton Grammar School, University of Queensland narrowly from Queenwood second, Centenary third, Redlands in 4th place. They move through to the final of the under-17 women's coxed quad scull, and missing out just is Tasmania University in 5th place. 6th will be lane 8, the Cardinia International College. 7th, the lane 4 combination from St Hilda's in Queensland, and 8th, the Walford Anglican School.
In unofficial results, the first semi-final of the under-17 women's coxed quad scull. First to Rockhampton Grammar and the University of Queensland. Second, Queenwood, 0.93 seconds back. Centenary in 3rd and 4th. Redlands, those 4 to progress through to the final. 5th, Tasmania University. 6th, Cardinia International College. 7th, St Hilda's from Queensland. And Walford Anglican from Adelaide, placing 8th. Unofficial time, 7:33.64. And semi-final number 2 of the under-17 women's coxed quadruple scull on the course. And the field that we have, PLC Sydney in lane number 1, Mersey in lane 2, Canberra Girls Grammar in 3, University of Queensland Composite in 4, Sydney Composite in 5, Glebe Composite in 6, Melbourne Girls Grammar in 7 and Penrith in 8.
The Canberra Girls Grammar School were the narrow leaders, the narrowest of leaders in fact after 500, but they've been overtaken here by, it looks like, well, it's a blue boat of Brisbane Grammar School, but it's the University of Queensland composite crew who are named on the program, and they're rowing in the colours of the University of Queensland Boat Club. That's the crew that's taken the lead over the second 500 metres, and they trailed by 9 hundredths of a second at 500 metres. Now lead it by 0.9 at the 1,000-metre mark. So University of Queensland composite crew on lane 1. Well, in fact, just the University of Queensland crew, it would appear. And the challenge to them now comes from the crew alongside them, the Sydney composite crew. 4 clubs and schools in that particular crew: Sydney, Hunter Valley Grammar, Loretto, Kirribilli, and also St Catherine's School. So 3 schools from Sydney along with Hunter Valley Grammar. And that crew in lane 5 has just about assumed the lead now, as they've got that number 5 bow ever so slightly in front of the number 4 of the University of Queensland crew. And Canberra Girls Grammar School over in lane 3 were the early leaders of the race, now dropping back probably into 3rd spot. And you can just see on the left of screen there the 7 and 6 moving into short. Melbourne Girls Grammar School in 7, Glebe Composite in 6. Those two are in the hunt for 4th place, chasing out after certainly Canberra Girls Grammar as well. It's starting to get close in the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. This is the 2nd semi-final of the under-17 women's cox quad scull, and just 4 crews to move through to the final from this race. The other 4 crews to be eliminated. So an all New South Wales combination now on there in lane 5. A number of names we've seen a few times throughout the regatta. Lily Gavin has had a very successful couple of days especially, and joined by some other Sydney schools in the race.
Yes, Lily Eels took out the first final of the regatta, the under-17 girls single scull, ahead of Lily Gavin, who got the silver medal, and Sarah Abrams really laid it all on the line. A very bold race for her. She's in the stroke seat of that leading boat, and she was 4th in that. So 3 of the top 4 in the single scull, and Amelia Cooper in the colours of St Catherine's School. That's the New South Wales one, the one based at Waverley, and the oldest girls' school in the Southern Hemisphere is St Catherine's. And Richard Coakley does a fantastic job in running that new school program. They're based out of UTS Rowing Club at Dobroy Parade in Lilyfield at the end of the Iron Cove.
And they've been rowing for a few years only at that school, is it?
Yeah, quite a new program, and Richard does a very, very good job there. Harriet Hudson's one of the coaches there, and yeah, it's quite a promising school program, the St Catherine's program.
Just causes great confusion with, of course, St Catherine's one of the big rowing schools in Melbourne as well. At least we've learnt to differentiate on the program now. This is St Catherine's Sydney representing this leading crew of Amelia Cooper, Lily Eels, Sarah Abrams and Lily Gavin, coxed by Grace Harris, and they look almost certain to win this semi-final. Second still the University of Queensland composite crew, Tyler Hutton, Michelle Cluley, Ellen Hill, Nancy Duncan-Banks and Sadie Ridgway. Canberra Girls Grammar School hanging on well for 3rd spot on the far side, but on this side, Melbourne Girls Grammar and the Glebe Mossman Nepean composite combination too. One of those 2 crews you think will miss out. Canberra Girls Grammar have to work as well. They're coming back up alongside the blue boat now of the University of Queensland. It's on for the minor placings, but almost a length to the Sydney composite crew lane 5. They'll be the winners and the first crew to move through. The interest in the minor placings with University of Queensland still there, just I think from Canberra Girls Grammar School and Melbourne Girls on this side. So Sydney composite take the win. University of Queensland second. 3rd does go to Canberra Girls Grammar, and 4th spot's important, and I think lane 7's held on. Glebe surged late, but Melbourne Girls Grammar School have taken 4th place. 5th goes to the Glebe composite crew. 6th then over towards the far side lane 2. Mercy will take 6th. PLC Sydney in 7th place, and the local crew from Penrith on lane 8 will finish in 8th place.
Very close there for 4th and 5th, and nearly a lesson learned the hard way for Melbourne Girls Grammar in that one. Presentation of medals for the PR3 Mixed Double Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Jim Gibson, President of Rowing Tasmania. Third place and bronze medalists, the Australian National University Boat Club. Ian Cooper, Sue Donoghue. And Ian Cooper. Second place and silver medalists representing Leichhardt and Balmain Rowing Clubs. Bronte Marshall from Balmain Rowing Club. William Clifton from Leichhardt Rowing Club. And coaches Kerry Thorne and Barbara Ramjan. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019. Drummoyne Rowing Club and the University of Queensland. Mac Russell from the University of Queensland. And Julia Story from Drummoyne Rowing Club. Coaches Michael Russell and Kathleen Hextall. Please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists.
And not long to go now in the first semi-final of the under-17 men's coxed quad scull. The leading four crews are the centre four lanes. The Southport School's been in front for most of this race. The Green Caps of St Augustine's from Sydney would be narrowly second, then Newington alongside them. Cathedral Townsville over in lane 3 in 4th place, although Newington lane 7 challenging and looking to try and get two crews through to the final here in this under-17 men's coxed quad scull. First of two semi-finals. The Southport School well in front here. George Collins, Jack Breen, Lockie Wright, Mackenzie Branch and Lockie McTaggart in the bright yellow caps of the Southport School. The bright green caps of St Augustine's look safe in second place. Newington lane 5 certainly will take out third and it'll be very close for fourth as they head towards the line. The Southport School lane 6 will get the win by over a length. St Augustine's just second ahead of Newington, and Newington will indeed take out third and fourth. Two crews going through, so Newington lane 5 from Newington lane 7. Then over on the far side, lane 3, Cathedral Towns will just miss out in 5th place. 6th goes to Radford College. 7th will be lane 1, Scotch College Adelaide, and 8th beside them, the crew from Hunter Valley Grammar, as they are across the line in the first semi of the under-17 men's quad scull. And the Southport School there in the unofficial time of 6:49.63. And a winning margin of 3.55 seconds. The Southport School over St Augustine, Sydney. 3rd place, Newington lane 5. 4th place, Newington lane 7. They are the qualifiers through to the final from the first semi-final of the under-17 men's coxed quad scull. And we're about to go in the second semi-final of the same event as we welcome back to the microphone Ray Abbott.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, I've been out listening to how professional you and Owen are and talking to people in the grandstand who are really appreciating the coverage, and a lot of feedback from those on the live streaming. A lot of positive feedback on the live streaming. So
all
keep up the good work.
32,000 of them, hopefully.
32,000 plus, yes.
And growing.
Yep, and rowing. Up, awaiting a restart.
Well, a couple of crews have snuck out early, have they there?
Yes.
Lane 1 crew, Canberra Grammar, and lane 7, Wendouree Ballarats.
So we won't be able to see whether there's a cone goes out against anyone there for an infringement at the start. So the first 4 will go through to the final of this event. This is being a semi-final, under-17 men's coxed quadruple scull. A great boat. Unfortunately, they weren't around when I was a young guy learning to row quad sculls.
Yes, great boats to learn to row, and we've seen gradually the transition, probably over the past 15 or 20 years, of the youngest rowing at school levels from 4s into quad sculls.
Certainly, in your old school and the GPS system in Queensland, they've gone from coxed 4s to quad sculls. Apparently, well, it's fairly obvious that it's less stress on the body for the youngsters, for growing bodies.
Athletes, that's right. And as a result, I remain the defending champion coach of the under-15 5th 4 in the Queensland GPS and will be forevermore.
Well, that's amazing. You're like Wayne Diplock. I think he's the defending Australian coxed pair champion from some time back last century.
But he's still living off it, yes.
Yes. Great pictures coming from the start line. And a shout out to our volunteers up there, the boat holders, doing a great job. John Trelaw coordinating the boat holders as we see a start in the under-17 men's coxed quadruple scull.
So the 8 crews are on their way. Canberra Grammar top of screen lane 1, Kinross Wallaroi in 2, Townsville, JCU and Riverway all from Townsville in lane 3, Rockhampton Grammar School composite with Centenary and Nepean in 4, Tasmania University and Buckingham lane 5, Essendon Rowing Club from Melbourne in 6, Wendouree Ballarat in 7, and the Gippsland Grammar and Bairnsdale composite crew, both schools from the Gippsland region of, or both from the Gippsland region of Victoria at least, racing in lane 8, closest to the camera, and probably in second spot the Gippsland Grammar composite crew behind that lane 3 combination, Townsville and JCU, who've got away very well in the opening stages.
Great to see Bairnsdale Club rejuvenated, and there was a presentation at last year's coaches conference from someone at Bairnsdale and talking about how inclusive the club is, and to see people from Bairnsdale Rowing Club here rowing at the National Championship is a fantastic outcome. But it's a real community club. They certainly trumpet that they are a community club, and they live it as well, as the composite crew from Townsville and JCU and Riverway leads out, albeit narrowly, over Kinross Wallaroi.
Yeah, so 3 states in our top 3 spots at the moment. The Townsville and JCU Riverway combination. 2 rowers from the Riverway Club, Felix Pountney and Lachlan Donald Wales, and 2 from the Townsville and JCU Rowing Club, Zachary Skip and Zachary Judge, coxed by Atticus DeMello and coached by Harrison Parks. And we talked a bit yesterday about the tough times the Townsville clubs have had in recent months too. Just unusually large amounts of rain in early February up there led to all sorts of damage to the boat sheds and the boats of the club members there, and of course many suffering far more than that with their houses as well. So it is great to see that the Townsville rowers have been able to make it here to the National Championships at Penrith.
Was that Cyclone Omar? Was that the one? There's been so many this season.
Yeah, it's sort of been natural disaster after natural disaster, but it certainly had an effect on the rowers in North Queensland, also down here in New South Wales as well, with that regatta at Taree a few weeks ago we heard about as well.
And did you give a shout out to say that the Row Union marquee is open, and anybody that's looking for a drink, they can go up to Row Union?
Yeah, should indeed. We sat there briefly at the conclusion of racing yesterday and enjoyed the views of a lot of the state crews in training for Sunday's interstate regatta, but it's a great place to watch the racing as the crews come past in the final few hundred metres of the race, and you'll be well looked after there by the staff as well. So 3 crews in lanes 3, 4 and 5, probably pushing themselves out in front here in race 3:38. The
Tas Uni crew certainly pushing through as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Tasmania, the red boat, of course, always distinctive. They've got their boat in front. The timing's giving it to the Southport School, which I doubt. At the wrong part of the screen. Now, it is Townsville and JCU in 3, Kinross Wallaroi in 2, Canberra Grammar as well, and yes, that red boat of Tasmania University, who are back in 7th place after 500 metres, have moved a lot further up in the last few hundred metres of the race. They go through 1,000 now, so we'll get some more up-to-date times. And Tasmania University have, in fact, gone from 7th to 1st in the space of 500 metres.
Wow, that's a push
from them.
That is a push.
It is indeed. So Hayden Mounter, Jared Connolly, Samuel Mounter and Angus Painter. 3 of those from the Tasmania University Boat Club, plus Jared Connolly of Buckingham Rowing Club, coxed by Hamish Painter. Sounds like something of a family affair. That crew, Mark Stott and Wilson Muir, the coaches, and that red boat now is not only gone to the lead, but they look to be pulling away from the rest of the field here in 2. Rockhampton Grammar School in 4, and then that Townsville crew we spoke about in lane 3, probably back now in about 4th place, as that blue boat of Kinross Wallaroi in lane 2 starts to come through strongly as well. So 4 to go through, and behind our race leaders from Tasmania University, there are plenty of chances in the second semi-final of the under-17 men's coxed quad scull, with just on 750 metres now to race.
Beautiful to see the different coloured boats, and I was over in the media centre just before, and the Donneratico boat that the ADF crew is going to row down tomorrow, one of the ADF crews, I believe it was built in 1955. A beautiful wooden boat, was on top of a trailer, and a lot of interest in it. And I believe Howard Croker has created a new set of oars for it, and John Dreesen from Rowfit has created a new set of riggers for it. So a lot of interest in that Donneratico boat. Ian Smith and Jeff Brown assisting Ian in the coaching of the ADF crews in preparation for the Henley Royal Regatta later this year.
So we'll see them on the course tomorrow as well.
We will see them on the course tomorrow. Around the lunchtime break, they'll be doing a row past. And Donneratico, of course, the home of Filippi boats these days. And Lido Filippi passed away just recently, who was the principal of Donneratico, and then when he retired, his son Davide changed the name to Filippi Boat. So I think Lido may have done that himself, but one of a great supporter of rowing right around the world and a great supporter of rowing Australia has been Filippi Boats, and particular interest in that wooden 8 that was built in the town of Donneratico by Donneratico Boats.
Wow, yeah, look forward to seeing that on the course tomorrow. The Tasmania University crew have continued to extend their lead here. It was 2 seconds almost at the 1500 metre mark, but now the Rockhampton Grammar School Centenary and the Nepean combination beside them in lane 4 starts to come through as well. That's Reese Byrne of Rockhampton Grammar School, Joya Calanta from the Nepean, Harry Knott from Centenary, and Riley Goodwin from the Rockhampton Grammar School. Jack Corner, the cox of that crew, and they are certainly moving up into second place. I'm not sure whether they'll run down our race leaders from Tasmania University in the closing strokes here, but the interest then behind them in 3rd and 4th. Still that Townsville and JCU Riverway composite crew alongside Kinross Walleroy, probably 3rd and 4th. Essendon on this side as well, just from Wendouree Ballarat, and the Gibson Grammar and Bairnsdale composite crew, and then Canberra Grammar over the far side of the course. So I think you can pencil in the top 2, but still tight for the minor placing. Certainly that red boat will be first across the line, and Rockhampton Grammar School should be second. 3rd and 4th still looks to be those 2 crews on the far side. Townsville JCU and Kinross Walleroy holding off Canberra Grammar as Tasmania University go across and take the win. Rockhampton Grammar Centenary Nepean second. Townsville JCU Riverway 3rd, and 4th goes to Kinross Walleroy. Very tight indeed. 5th I think was Canberra Grammar. 6th home Essendon. 7th will be Wendouree Ballarat, and 8th place Gibson Grammar and Bairnsdale.
Well called, Richard. Yes, that's the way I saw it as well. Lane 5, Tas Uni Composite first. Lane 4, Rockhampton Grammar Composite second. Lane 3, Townsville JCU Composite third. 4th, Kinross Walleroy, and a place into the final for Kinross Walleroy. 5th, and eliminated Canberra Grammar, Essendon in 6th. Wendouree Ballarat in 7th, and Gippsland Grammar School Composite in 8th place. The winning time, 6:52.61. 6:52.61. Under 19 women's coxed 8 underway. Richard, lane 1 Wesley College, lane 2 Toowong QAS, lane 3 Geelong Grammar, lane 4 Geelong Grammar, lane 5 Queenwood Composite, scratch lane 6, lane 7 Adelaide Composite, lane 8 University of Queensland Boat Club.
So one scratching there in lane 6, just the one heat of the under 19 women's coxed 8. So presumably this is just a race for lanes.
Race for lanes.
And a few crews have cleared out on the others. That looks like the distinctive colours of the Queenwood School there in lane 5, or Queenwood Composite crew with Sydney University Boat Club as well in lane 5. The dark blue boat over on the far side must be the Toowong QAS combination.
Yes.
Rowing in
and Geelong Grammar right up there as well in the M-Packer.
And Geelong Grammar in front, in fact, in the M-Packer in lane 4. 2 Geelong Grammar crews here, so lane 3 is well back, but lane 4 in contention. But as we've seen, these race for lanes often get some interesting tactics. They're not always out to do the full 2,000 metres, just to tune up effectively for the final of this race, which I imagine will take place on tomorrow's program. But Geelong Grammar, Toowong QAS and Queenwood Sydney Uni, the very clear top 3.
Yes, absolutely. Little to choose between Geelong and Toowong there, the distinctive colour of the M-Packer, and then a very blue boat on the far side of the course that Toowong are rowing in. Then on this side, the Queenwood Grey. It was referred to a couple of days ago by, I think that was Genevieve Horton, referred to it as the Queenwood Grey. And a terrific race, though, between Geelong Grammar and QAS at the head of the field in the what we believe is a race for lanes in the under-19 women's coxed 8.
I don't know about you, Ray, but I'm not used to seeing Toowong in a dark blue boat. Is this just done to confuse us?
We can't get close enough to see what it's called to see if it's actually, although it is, blue is part of Toowong's colours, so that's understandable.
True, yeah. And I reckon they're moving up into the lead now, that Toowong QAS combination. Ella McKenzie, Elke Marriott, Emma Tucker, Sophia Tully, Sophie Gerber, Lucy Hope, Phoebe Robinson, Laura Chancellor and Georgia Peterson, coached by Andrew Gerber, Kieran Kiwi Dwyer and Benjamin Southwell. And certainly Toowong now have their bow in front through the 1,500 metre mark.
Georgia Peterson, I'll have to check. I think I know her mum. But they're making a bold bid for victory, that's for sure. And the race for lanes can sometimes be a bit confusing, but to me, you know, this will draw you a good lane. You'll be in the middle. The chevron that Owen talks about, 4-5 leading out to 1-8. That's the way you like to be. You like to be able to in the middle. You can look left, you can look right, and you can see where everybody else is. And the Toowong crew going on with it, a half, maybe 3/4 of a length. Phoebe Robinson and Laura Chancellor should be getting a little tired by now. They've already won a couple of gold medals today.
They won, 2 races within about 40 minutes earlier today, and Geelong Grammar there in second place, comfortably second. The crew on the inside, or the far side there, is Wesley College from Melbourne, coached of course by one of our commentators from a couple of years ago, Hannah Every Hall, who
chair of the Athletes Commission for Rowing Australia.
Yeah, she wears many hats. She's a busy lady, Hannah. I'm not sure if she's, I haven't seen her here at the regatta.
I saw her this morning having a coffee.
She'll be on the peloton there, I'm sure, yelling out on the far side of the course. And watching the Wesley College crew, probably 4th or 5th still at this stage. It's Toowong QAS comfortably in front, Geelong Grammar lane 4, and Queen would have turned it right off in the closing strokes. They've gone back from 3rd to 4th. The University of Queensland lane 8 are a chance of 3rd here, or Wesley College on the far side. It'll be one of those two claiming the 3rd ranked lane, but Toowong QAS are finishing off fairly easily. They're a length clear, and they take the win on lane 2. Second place goes to Geelong Grammar lane 4. Third will be close between the Wesley crew and University of Queensland. Wesley on the far side will get it, and then UQ lane 8 in 4th place. 5th will go to Queenwood there, who certainly haven't challenged themselves too much over the closing strokes of the race, and also looking pretty easy for the Adelaide composite crew there in lane 7. They'll finish in 6th place, and Geelong Grammar's second crew racing in lane 3 will finish 7th.
Obvious that some of these crews have been out there for the hit-out. It's like a training row. It's not compulsory, I don't think so, for them to race in the race for lanes. So Toowong QAS first, Geelong Grammar number 1 crew second, 3rd Wesley College, 4th University of Queensland Boat Club, 5th Queenwood Composite, 6th Adelaide Composite, 7th the second of the Geelong Grammar crews. The winning time 6:52.65, 6:52.65.
Speedy as that.
Repechage 1 of the under-19 men's coxed 8 is underway. Lane 1, Scotch College from Victoria. Lane 2, Wesley College. Lane 3, St Peter's College Composite from Adelaide. Lane 4, Xavier. Lane 5, Scotch Oakburn. Lane 6, Toowong Composite. Lane 7, Geelong Grammar. And Lane 8, Scotch College from Victoria.
And it does appear to be a Xavier College crew from Melbourne who leads this race narrowly in the opening stages through the first 500 metres. Xavier lane 4 in front from Wesley College. Again, they're in lane 2. That's Xavier in the red and black there. Again, rowing in the yellow M-Packer comfortably in front. Just had confirmation, Ray, that blue boat that Toowong were rowing in was actually a boat from the Loretto Toorak School in Melbourne, would you believe?
So where you coach.
Where I have been known to coach from time to time. But that's hence the confusion. But thank you to Sam Jutney for clearing that one up.
Thanks, Sam.
It is certainly this Xavier crew, but from Melbourne now, in a pretty commanding position here at the halfway mark of this repechage of the under-19 men's coxed 8. Xavier leading Wesley College in second place, and Scotch Oakburn from Launceston in northern Tasmania, lane 5 there, narrowly in third spot. Toowong Composite lane 6 of fourth, and Scotch College Melbourne in 5th place. The interest lies around those positions with 4 to move through. This is the sole repechage of the under-19 men's coxed 8. The top 4 will move through to the final. Our previous finalists decided in the heats of this race on yesterday's program. 4 more spots up for grab, and certainly Xavier College have one of those in their keeping at this stage.
Xavier, I don't think they've had a great year, have they, in the schoolboy rowing? But they've certainly turned out some great athletes over the time, including Olympians and gold medalist Olympians. And, of course, former president of Rowing Australia, Patrick McNamara, is a Xavier old boy.
Yep, he is indeed. No, it hasn't been their greatest season just completed. Of course, it was Scotch College, the winners of the Victorian Head of the River, who were pretty dominant yesterday in the schoolboy 8 heats as well, getting 2 crews comfortably through the heats. But Xavier College doing a pretty good job here. They've got Clearwater, no other crews in shot as we pan back now, and you can see the race for second, third and fourth behind them. That Toowong Sydney University composite combination in second place narrowly. Alongside them, Scotch Oakburn is still there, and also Wesley College. And you can see now really our top 4 have cleared out on the remaining 4 crews with Xavier, Wesley, Toowong and Scotch Oakburn.
Wesley, of course, coached by Matt Ryan, Olympic silver medalist from Beijing in the men's 4, and doing a terrific job also at Melbourne University Boat Club, and co-coach with Christian Ryan, no relation, of the Victorian Kings Cup crew.
Yeah, that Wesley crew, and certainly a battle for, well, second, third and fourth. They're all a length or so behind our race leaders from Xavier.
I'd suggest the Toowong crew may have moved into second place at the moment, along with Scotch Oakburn, yes.
In lane 6 and 5, edging out, probably lane 2. They're all going to go through to the final, it would seem. It's a little bit like the last race at this stage, when it's just a case of what position they're going to finish in, but it'll be hard to see Xavier being beaten from here. Scotch Oakburn, the Tasmanian representative in this race as well. And Toowong Composite is actually Toowong, Sydney Uni and Commercial, so a couple of rowers from Sydney University, as well as 1 from Commercial. 5 Toowong athletes are in the crew.
Coached by Andy Clatworthy, Kieran Dwyer, both coaching at Toowong, and Chris Holliday, who coaches at Sydney University Boat Club.
Exactly, and very similar colours next to them in the Scotch Oakburn school as well, predominantly yellow colours there. They're all going to go through. Xavier College lane 4 will win the race by a neat length. It will be maybe Scotch Oakburn sneaking up into second in the closing strokes. They've got about a canvas or so now on that Toowong composite crew. So Xavier first, Scotch Oakburn second. Third goes to Toowong Composite, and fourth will be Wesley College. They move through to the final of the under-19 men's coxed 8. The rest will miss out. 5th place will be the lane 3 combination, St Peter's Adelaide Composite. 6, I think, just was Scotch College over on the far side of the course, and then the second crew from Scotch College on this side ahead of Geelong Grammar in 8th position.
Well called, Richard. That was close between 6th and 7th, and you've matched the judges. 6 minutes 15.81 is the posted time. That'll be corrected just a little. Xavier first, Scotch Oakburn second, Toowong Composite third, Wesley College fourth. They'll go through to the final. Rest will be eliminated. Wesley College. Then follows St Peter's College Composite, Scotch College and Geelong Grammar. 6:16 flat. The winning time, 6:16 flat. The Open Lightweight Men's Coxed 8 Championship of Australia will be next. Lane 3, UTS Composite, UTS ANU Canberra. Lane 4, Mercantile Adelaide Composite. Lane 5, Toowong Buckingham Sydney Composite. And lane 6, Swan River North East, University of Western Australia, Mossman Bank, Sydney University, and anybody else we can fit in. And this is for the Buckingham Trophy.
This is for the Buckingham Trophy, currently in the hands of Team Indonesia, who won it at last year's regatta. We are not here to repeat that this time around, but you can see already there that crew at the top of screen, and there are a number of mouthfuls of composite crews in this field, but that's the UTS, ANU and Canberra Rowing Club composite combination. They've got about a length and a half on the rest of the field, and you could toss a coin for second, third and fourth. The
Waldersee brothers, who won the lightweight pair in the stern 6 and 7 of this boat. This Buckingham Trophy donated by Steve Kerrin a few years ago. Steve, of course, a former lightweight, about 35 kilograms ago. And rode out of Buckingham Rowing Club. And, of course, the Lightweight 8 in years gone by was a fantastic event with 2 and 3 club crews from Melbourne Uni and Mercantile, and not so many this year, but lightweight rowing still strong despite a few impediments against it. And it is the UTS ANU Canberra composite crew, coached by Alex Field and Nick Garrett, that leads. Crew on this side shouldn't be written off. The composite crew from about 8 clubs, they're probably holding down second spot.
Yeah, Swan River, North-Est, University of Western Australia, Mossman Banks and Sydney Uni. I get at least 7 different clubs amongst the 8 rowers in that crew. So they've certainly gone far and wide for their composite combination. But it's working for them in lane 2, and they have closed a bit up on our race leaders. It was more than a length to the UTS composite combination, as we'll call them, over in lane 1. But the Swan River composite crew, lane 6, certainly giving chase. They pulled away of the Toowong, Buckingham and Sydney combination, lane 5, and then Mercantile Adelaide in lane 4. But still now, as they approach the 1,500 metre mark, in fact, our leaders have gone through that already. 4:31.79, the UTS composite crew, and 2.22 seconds. So close to a length it would be over Swan River composite on the grandstand side of the course.
And a note in the Toowong crew, have a look at the 3-man, Robert McNeil, who's not 25 anymore. And it's great to see Red McNeil out there rowing for his club, Toowong. I mean, he may well be rowing in a Sydney Rowing Club suit because he is a registered member of Sydney these days, but a stalwart of Toowong Rowing Club as a younger man, rode in a lot of national championships and then coached national champions, of course, when he was coaching at Toowong. But these days, a very proficient masters rower out of Sydney Rowing Club, where he rows with Mike Davies in the 8. They're the stern pair usually of that crew, and Mike wouldn't make lightweight, that's for sure. But Rob McNeil trying to put some experience into that young Toowong crew that's with him there, stroked by Hamish Parry, who won the lightweight single championship yesterday. But it is the UTS ANU Canberra composite crew that's holding sway in this open lightweight men's coxed 8 for the Buckingham Trophy.
Yep, still the crew on the far side. It's getting interesting for second place. You're right, the Toowong crew is coming late with plenty of experience there, although Swan River composite should be able to hold on to the silver medal from here. Then Mercantile Adelaide back in 4th place. But the national title and the Bucks Trophy will go to the crew from UTS, ANU and the Canberra Rowing Club on lane 3. They take the win in the open lightweight men's coxed 8. Second place on this side, the Swan River composite crew. 3rd place, Toowong, Buckingham and Sydney. And 4th then will be Mercantile and Adelaide as they cross the line in the final of the open lightweight men's coxed 8 for the Bucks Trophy.
Don't forget that Row Union marquee is open for business, and also the book Pulling Through, the story of the King's Cup, written by Bruce Coe, is available for purchase at the Regatta shop.
There's unofficial results on screen there for the open lightweight men's coxed 8. UTS composite from Swan River composite to Toowong and Mercantile Adelaide. The time 6:04.93 for the winning crew, who were untroubled getting across in the end by 2.31 seconds.
Next we have the PR3 women's coxless pair, Barwon Composite VIS in lane 4 and Western Australia Composite with Capital Lakes in lane 5. So Barwon Powerhouse, Alexandra Viney of Barwon and Alex Vermeulen of Powerhouse VIS. and Nikki Ayres from Capital Lakes and Davinia Lefroy from Western Australian Rowing Club. Hannah Every Hall coaching the powerhouse Barwon crew.
Yeah, we're just saying she's a busy lady. She's also, yes, has responsibility for some para rowers as well in her capacity at the Powerhouse Club in Melbourne, alongside her work at Wesley College.
And speaking of Powerhouse, what a great job she's done there. And they have really come back into prominence, Powerhouse, since Hannah went there.
They have indeed, both on and off the water. I was at the Australian Indoor Rowing Championships in Melbourne in October, which Hannah largely organised with the support of the Powerhouse Rowing Club, and by far the biggest number of competitors there were athletes from the Powerhouse Club. So not just on water rowing, but indoor rowing as well. They really are involved in all facets of the sport.
Well, her enthusiasm for the sport is infectious, that's for sure, and doing a terrific job here. And it is the Powerhouse crew that's on screen at the moment. Barwon and Powerhouse Composite on the screen.
Yep, Alex Viney and Alex Vujamin from the Powerhouse and Barwon clubs. We've got a very comfortable lead here over Nikki Ayres and Davinia Lefroy. We saw Nikki Ayres yesterday in the single scull, the PR3 single scull it was, and about this time on yesterday's program, at Barwon Powerhouse there through the first 500 metres in 2:00.5, and certainly a very significant lead on Nikki Ayres of the Capital Lakes Club and the ACT High Performance Program, and Davinia Lefroy of the West Australian Rowing Club. They are coached by Renee Domishens and Joe Tamiji, the second place crew there, Western Australia and Capital Lakes. About 16 seconds between those two crews. The PR3 women's coxless pair as it continues down the course.
Did Nikki Ayres win the single scull yesterday?
I was going to say I thought she did, but I was
That's almost
desperately
24
looking
hours
for our results to make sure, so I can't be accused of giving out any more misinformation.
But yeah, Renee Domishens doing a fantastic job in Canberra at the ACT, and under the guidance of Nick Garrett, he's done a great job coaching for many a long day, has Nick Garrett, and Renee benefiting from Nick's input at the ACT Academy of Sport.
Yeah, you are right, Ray. Nikki Ayres was the winner of the PR3 Women's Single Scull. A pretty convincing win too to the Capital Lakes Sculler by over 14 seconds. And Anu Francis of Torrens and Julia Story of Drummoyne. We saw Julia Story on the course earlier with Mac Russell of the University of Queensland, the two place getters in the PR3 single events, combined to win the PR3 double scull about an hour or so ago. But Nikki Ayres, yes, the winner of the PR3 single. In this position, she's sitting in the silver medal place, or possibly second place. I suspect only a gold medal to be awarded for this race, with a field of two. And it certainly looks as if the two Alexes from Victoria, Alex Viney of Barwon, Alex Viemen of Powerhouse and the Victorian Institute of Sport, comfortably in front. Alex Viemen's father, Paul, is here today, and it is his birthday, so happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
To Paul, I'm sure watching on in the grandstand and enjoying this performance from the two Victorian rowers there.
And remiss of us yesterday, winning a couple of gold medals was Cormac Kennedy Leverett yesterday, who celebrated his 19th birthday, and the legendary Rhett Ayleth, who was a bit more than 19 yesterday. So if you see Rhett in the grandstand, ladies and gentlemen, wish him a happy birthday for yesterday. As the two Alexes, as Richard referred to them, rowing well in this PR3 women's coxless pair. And coaches on the far side there, riding with a helmet on, good to see, but looking at the stopwatch as they do, as the umpires follow down that boat. It's interesting, the athletes are here racing. They're assessed by the speed of their boat, but the umpires are all assessed as well. I was looking yesterday at Renee Klupax. I can see an umpire doing exactly that now. Up near the Row Union marquee, you can see an umpire up there, and they'll be assessing what the umpires are doing, what the position of the umpire's boat. You know, are they in behind the crew? Have they got a good view of exactly what's happening? Are they too close? Are they not close enough? So at the end of the day, then, those assessors are able to give the umpires and the boat drivers some feedback on their performance. So it's all part of development, because umpires, like athletes, want to go to the highest level. And we have a number of FISA umpires in Australia, and half a dozen or so have been granted places at international competitions this year, including Greg Smith, who will be at the open water rowing in Hong Kong later this year.
Yeah, no, it is. It's always an area they're keen to get more people into umpiring as well. I know at the certainly at the school level of the sport, where I've had some involvement, they're always looking for new people to come and begin the umpiring journey, because there are so many moving parts that go into making a rowing regatta run, both here at the Nationals and at smaller regattas around the country. And our officials are always looking to recruit new members to their ranks who can eventually go on and umpire here at the National Championships, and, as you say, potentially internationally, as well. Speaking of international involvement, both the Alexes in this leading boat have both been named in the 2019 PR3 national squad. So they have the potential to go on and earn Australian selection this year. That process has not been concluded yet, but both Alex Viney and Alex Vierman in this leading crew from Victoria certainly have national aspirations, and they are doing a very, very good job here in this final of the PR3 women's cox pair. 26.67 seconds they had on Nikki Ayres and Davinia Lefroy in second place. So a very comfortable win coming up here, you would think, in a minute or so as this pair approaches the finish line. It's always a tricky boat to row the coxless pair, and we did see just a little while ago a couple of messy strokes from our leading crew. They seem to have recovered that now and heading off back on a fairly stable platform on a straight line towards the finish. But it is probably the toughest of boats to row, the coxless pair, when you've only got one or each, and you have to work completely together to ensure the boat remains as balanced as possible. And again, you see just a couple of hits on the water as they continue down towards the finish line, but that's not surprising at the end of a 2,000-metre race. Over 8 minutes they've been racing already, and still a few strokes to go. And it's going to go down as a very comfortable win and a national championship title to this combination from Barwon and Powerhouse, coached, as we said, by Hannah Every Hall, who's going to enjoy some more success, national championships as well. And it is Barwon and Powerhouse who go across and take the win on lane 4. Alex Vierman and Alex Viney from the Powerhouse and Barwon clubs. 8:32.82, their unofficial time across the line, and a few strokes to go still for the second place crew from the West Australian and Capital Lakes clubs. Nikki Ayres from Capital Lakes, Davinia Lefroy from the West Australian Rowing Club, and they'll shortly conclude the course in second place.
And Richard, I said I thought I knew the coxswain of the lightweight of the under 19.8. And the power of the live streaming. So a shout out to Kerry Peterson, and thanks for the text message, Kerry. I've had a couple of queries to me on my phone about why the flags are at half-mast. That's in recognition of a ceremony being held today in Christchurch, with the terrible goings on at Christchurch a week and a half or so ago, and that's why the flag's here at half-mast, to honour those that were tragically killed in that atrocity in Christchurch recently. The presentation of medals for the Open Lightweight Men's Coxed 8 Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Mr. Jim Gibson, President of Rowing Tasmania. In third place, and bronze medalists, Toowong, Buckingham, Sydney Composite. Matthew Reedy of Toowong, Christian Place of Toowong, Rob McNeil, Sydney Rowing Club, Alec Patterson of Buckingham, Jack Price of Toowong, Tom Williamson of Toowong, David Carter of Toowong, and Hamish Parry of Toowong. And the coxswain is Ashley Hockings, and the coaches are Kieran Dwyer and Leo Karadimitris. In second place, and silver medalist, Swan River, North-East, University of Western Australia, Mossman Bank, Sydney University, TIS, NSWIS. James Crouch of Banks. Sean Murphy of Mossman. Michael Orton of Swan River. Patrick Boer of Swan River. Rowan James of Swan River, Ethan Aird of University of Western Australia Boat Club, Connor Ryan of North Esk, and the stroke William Williamson of Swan River. The cox is Will Raven, and the coaches Mark Beer, Will Raven, and Trevor Barrett. Gold medalist and Australian champions for 2019, the University of Technology Sydney, Australian National University Boat Club and Canberra Rowing Club, and the ACT High Performance Program. William Clark of ANU, Thomas Perry of Canberra, Nathan Kennedy of ANU, Hamish Harding of ANU, Michael McRae of UTS, Peter Waldersee of UTS and James Waldersee of UTS, and the stroke Jack Message of UTS. The coxswain is Renee Domichens, and the coaches Alex Field and Nick Garrett. And now Jim Gibson will present the Buckingham Trophy to the winning crew from UTS, ANU and Canberra. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions and medalists.
And they are on the course in the next of our para rowing finals. This is the PR3 men's coxless pair. Again with a field of two. Torrens Adelaide University in lane 4 and Sydney Uni Sydney racing in lane 5. And unlike the previous race, this is a very tight battle between these two crews. They're already halfway through the race. And Sydney University, Gibson and Talbot there, the narrow leaders by just on a second from Torrens, Adelaide, Smith and Altschwager. A number of those names familiar from the PR3 men's single scull race yesterday. And look how close that is. That is absolutely bow ball for bow ball as they come through now with around about 800 or so metres to row. The two crews there in lanes 4 and 5. So William Smith of Adelaide University and Jed Altschwager of the Torrens Club in lane 4. And Ben Gibson of Sydney Rowing Club and James Talbot of Sydney University in lane 5, side by side. And maybe the 5 now just surging. Well, it's changing stroke by stroke here. It doesn't get any closer than that as each crew takes a stroke. Their bow surges in front. The other one does the same. And it changes once again. So what a finish coming up here in the PR3 men's coxless pair. James Talbot was the winner of the single scull yesterday. Jed Altschwager finished in second place. Ben Gibson was fourth. And William Smith was not participating in that race. So first and fourth have combined in the lane 5 combination, Gibson and Talbot. And the second place getter, the silver medalist, Jed Altschwager from Torrens, along with William Smith of Adelaide University. And there's still nothing in it as they come through now. At 1,500, it was 0.71 of a second to Sydney on lane 5. That's the crew. They're slightly closer to the grandstand side of the course.
They've just surged there, Richard, haven't they? That crew in lane 5, Gibson and Talbot. Just put a surge on and have got to about 3/4 of a length now, almost a length over Smith and Altschwager.
We see they were waiting to get through the 1,500 metre mark, and they did that locked together, and all of a sudden, Gibson and Talbot have decided they want the gold medal. And look at that, they've gone out to clear water now. They have got a big lead all of a sudden with still 2:50 to race.
And rowing well.
Yeah, we said before the pair is a difficult boat to row, but they are making it look easy here in the closing stages of the PR3 men's coxless pair. Ben Gibson from Sydney Rowing Club, James Talbot from Sydney University, and certainly now it is a clear water lead with about 130 metres to race. So it looks like the national title will go the way of the Sydney University and Sydney Rowing Clubs, ahead of the South Australian composite crew on the far side, William Smith of Adelaide University and Jed Altschwager of Torrens Rowing Club. They are there in second place. The all South Australian combination, but it's been a very strong last 500 metres to Ben Gibson of Sydney Rowing Club and James Talbot of Sydney University. He's about to claim his second national title in as many days. A couple of strokes to go and they're across the line to take the win. Sydney take out the PR3 men's coxless pair, and the second place crew just pulling up short of the line there, the South Australian combination. They get across now, William Smith and Jed Altschwager in second place.
Unofficial winning time, 7:25.51, as Richard called it. Lane 5 first, lane 4 second. The margin, 8.36 seconds. How do you pronounce the name? Presentation of medals for the PR3 Women's Coxless Pair Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Mr. Gordon Marks, para-rowing head coach for Rowing Australia. Gold medalists and Australian champions for 2019, Barwon Powerhouse VIS Composite, Alex Vermeulen of Powerhouse and Alexandra Viney of Barwon, and the coach is Hannah Every Hall. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions in the PR3 Women's Coxless Pair.
We've had a start in race 346, which is the PR1 men's single scull over 2,000 metres, and one of Australia's most successful rowers, the 5-time world champion Eric Horry, on the course here and underway and out to a strong start. He's got a comfortable lead already in the opening 100 or so metres of this race. Eric Horry rowing for the Sydney Rowing Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport. He's coached by Jason Baker, at least as per the program. I know that our co-commentator Lizzie Chapman's had a lot to do with Eric Horry and the rest of the para rowing program as well. And this will be a chance for Eric Horry to test himself here in front of a decent crowd as we approach the lunch break of the 2019 Aon Sydney International Rowing Regatta. Midway through day 5 we are now. And Eric Horry leads Team Hong Kong on lane 4. Ajmal Victor Samuel, the sculler there on screen. You can see the PR1 category, as Gordon Marks explained to us early this morning, is predominantly, or for athletes, effectively able to move the boat with their arms only. And you can see the athletes are secured into the sculls there, but all about the arm movement to propel these sculls down the course here. So Eric Horry from Ajmal Victor Samuel of Team Hong Kong. The last 2 races before lunch, we understand, have been combined into one event. So the PR2 women's and men's single sculls will take place as one race. We'll see that on the course at the conclusion of this current race. That'll be Catherine Ross of the ANU, Simon Albury of Torrens, and Gavin Fulsham of the Hawke's Bay Rowing Club in New Zealand. Will be the 3 athletes in a combined race, 347 and 348. So this is in fact the penultimate race of the morning session.
Eric Horry's coach Jason Baker in the background there, following the race down. Surprised we could see him with his camouflage pants on.
Difficult to hide out there on the far side of the course, but
yes, Jason Baker, Eric Horry's coach in the background there, following the race down. As I said to Richard, just it's a wonder we can see him. He's always got camouflage pants on, but you can see Eric, his 5 world championships are down. The fact that he just rows better than everybody else in the world. He's a good endurance athlete. When it went from 1,000 metres to 2,000 metres, I think he licked his lips at the prospect of racing twice as far. Of course, he used to have a bit of trouble with a big Great Britain single sculler, Tom, whose surname escapes me as I'm getting old. Much bigger man than Eric, but no match for Eric when it went to 2,000 metres. And Eric, coached by Jason Baker, as I said, who also coaches the Scots College in Sydney, first 8, but Eric just rows beautifully, and he's one of the great success stories of para rowing, not only in Australia but across the world. He's
absolutely.
A great story.
Yeah, he tried his hand at basketball initially, I understand, a few years ago before taking up rowing, and it certainly is interesting to hear about the different progressions of these athletes into para rowing, because many of them, of course, had not rowed before taking it up in a para rowing capacity, and Eric Horry is certainly one of those. So a couple of years of basketball and then turned to rowing, and has certainly found his calling. And yes, 5 world championships in a row is just such an impressive record for any athlete to have. And he's also, you would think, still about 1,000 metres away, but adding another national title to his impressive collection as well.
I know his wife and daughters are very, very proud of Eric, and he trains hard. He and Jason work closely together. They've had their ups and downs. I know that. I was team manager a few times when they had some of those ups and downs, but they've got a fantastic combination, and it's led to 5 gold medals at World Championships right around the world. And great shot. Just the one boat in the shot, because Eric's dominance is not just restricted to Australia. He dominated the world there for a while. Had a bit of a battle last year at the World Championships, but got up in the end. and he's leading clearly as they left the 1,000 metre mark behind.
Yeah, he won his fifth World Championship last year in Plovdiv in a very close finish. I remember sitting up fairly late at night to watch that on
screaming
the
at the
live
TV
stream.
if
Exactly.
you were like me.
Yeah, it was a seesawing race, that one, and in the end, I guess you could say he timed his run to perfection, but he won it by 0.46 of a second over Roman Polyansky of the Ukraine. With the Russian sculler coming in third, but it was a really close finish, and he went certainly over that last few hundred metres. They had a few fears that he might get run down in the closing strokes, but he was able to get home and take the world title as part of the World Championships in Plovdiv last year, and is no doubt keen to add to that tally in the next couple of seasons. And of course, as Gordon Marks told us earlier today, the Tokyo Paralympics in the end remains the end goal for these para rowers in exactly the same way as the Olympic program does as well. And Eric Horry continues past the 1,250 metre mark now. He was just short of 5 minutes at the 1,000 metre mark, 4:59.35. Eric Horry of Sydney and the New South Wales Institute of Sport.
And I thought of the British sculler's name, Tom Agar. There you go.
That's the one.
Yeah.
They had some good battles certainly over the years.
Tom was injured in Afghanistan, if my memory serves me right, and Eric and he had some titanic battles over 1,000 metres. But as I said, going to 2,000 metres is certainly played into Eric's hands. And actually yesterday I saw Adair Ferguson here, the mum of Hamish Harding, who won a gold medal yesterday. And of course Adair was able to win a gold medal when rowing went from 1,000 metres to 2,000 metres for women. I think she won the first world championship when women's racing went from 1,000 to 2,000. Great to see her here. I saw Hamish's dad, Nigel Harding, up in the grandstand this morning as well, and their offspring, young Hamish, winning a gold medal yesterday in the lightweight single scull.
Yep, there's no escape, is there, once you get caught up in rowing?
Once it gets in your blood.
You come back year after year after year.
It was only 52 years for me this year, Richard. I know with my boyish good looks you wouldn't think so.
I would never have guessed, no. But Eric Horry doing it in fine style here. It's just, like I used the word metronomic a couple of times yesterday, and it's just the same thing, stroke after stroke. He's getting plenty of run out of the boat. Amazing arm strength from Eric Horry. But and you can see the difference a 2,000 metre race would make at this in this category of racing. Obviously, about 10 minutes for 2,000 metres is an extreme endurance effort, and it looks effortless as you watch Eric Horry there. I'm sure it's not. You know he's working hard, but at the same time, it's a fine demonstration of how to propel a rowing boat along the course.
Absolutely dead flat there. There's no surge in the boat. The boat just runs and runs and runs, and he gets maximum return for his effort with every stroke he takes because of his superior technique. He's just sensational.
Absolutely. We talk about clearance a lot with training school crews and trying to get the puddles out past the stern of the boat, and it's the same thing in a single scull, and you can just see how much clearance he gets there between strokes. So moving the boat nicely, being helped by perfect Penrith conditions again. This
absolutely
is
scintillating, to quote Roger Wilson. That's one of his favourites. It's scintillating conditions here today. As the group of coaches and interested spectators on the far side there follow down Eric Horry and Ajmal Victor Samuel in this PR1 men's single scull final.
Yeah, and we shouldn't forget Ajmal Victor Samuel. We don't know too much about his history, but Team Hong Kong adding some international flavour here at what is still the Sydney International Rowing Regatta, and Ajmal Victor Samuel is also working his way along the 2,000 metre course. He's still at about the 1,500 metre mark now, so we'll get a close look as he approaches the grandstand. But in the meantime, it's the 5-time world champion Eric Horry of Australia rowing here for the Sydney Rowing Club and the New South Wales Institute of Sport, coached by Jason Baker, and he'll add another national title to a very impressive collection. Eric Horry takes the win, 10:01.77, the unofficial time as he comes across the line. And we'll...
You're not bad. You said 10 minutes and it's 10:01.77. That's pretty... I think that's just a guess, Richard.
And pretty even splits, too. I think he was on about 4:59 something at halfway, right on 7:30 at 1,500. So I'm guessing that the 10-minute 2K is probably the equivalent of the 4-minute mile, possibly. And he's right on the money there.
And Team Hong Kong, you mentioned, is called Fei Ho from Hong Kong, is chair of the FISA Para Rowing Commission. Rowing Australia Para Rowing head coach Gordon Marks now on that commission as well. But Fei and her husband Chris Perry have been doing a great job in Hong Kong for a long time, and Fei's been chair of that commission for quite some time. And Chris Perry, a big Englishman who went out to Hong Kong a long time ago, still the head coach in Hong Kong, and of course the rowing program out at Sha Tin, which I have a great love for, Sha Tin.
Because of the racetrack.
Usually on a Sunday night at about 3 o'clock until 7:30.
Yeah.
And, Chris Perry's been doing a great job out there. But Fei, his wife, has been instrumental in improvements and great initiatives that have gone on in para rowing over the years. And Fei continues to be the chair of the Para Rowing Commission for FISA. And we congratulate Gordon for being elected to that as well, of course.
Yeah, another Australian high up in the ranks of FISA. There's been plenty of them in past years, and
saw former FISA Secretary General John Bulpy up in the crowd this morning. So welcome to John, along with John Coates and Mike Sweeney, former chairman of the Henley Royal Regatta, and of course a office bearer at FISA for a long, long time as well. So welcome to the two Johns and Mike to the Sydney International Regatta Centre today.
Here does come Ajmal Victor Samuel of Team Hong Kong, about to enter the final 100 metres of this race, and he'll shortly be across the finish line as well. I think Hong Kong is hosting the World Coastal Championships later in the year as well. A bit of a new element to the sport.
And Rowing Australia calling for expressions of interest, looking to enter cruise into the coastal rowing. We did have a bit of a screed about that yesterday. I'll see if I can find it again. But, of course, Greg Smith from Rowing New South Wales to officiate at that regatta. But Rowing Australia committed, I would imagine, to fielding crews that are absolutely representative crews of rowing in Australia.
They might need some commentators too.
Ajmal Victor Samuel goes across the line. Well done to him in PR1 Men's Single Scull Championship of Australia. Oh, they got. Presentation of medals for the PR3 Men's Coxless Pair Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Mr. Gordon Marks, Para Rowing Head Coach for Rowing Australia. Gold medalist and Australian champions for 2019, Sydney University, Sydney and Swiss Composite. Ben Gibson of Sydney Rowing Club and James Talbot of Sydney University Boat Club. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate the 2019 Australian champions in the PR3 Men's Coxless Pair. So we've got combined races 347 and 348. So ANU ACT Catherine Ross, coached by Renee Domashens, is racing Torrens South Australian Sports Institute Simon Albury, who's coached by Christine McLaren, and Hawke's Bay Gavin Folsham, who's coached by Ross Webb and Simon Lack. So I'm sorry we don't have a graphic up for that, but that was a late decision. And Kath is, there we go, well done. Kath,
nothing they can't do.
Ross, ANU ACT is our leader. Over to you, bro.
So 2 races in one here, races 347 and 348 before a relatively brief late lunch break, you'd have to call it, on day 5 of this regatta. So 2 sets of medals, or at least 2 gold medals to be awarded, I would imagine, from this race. One which will obviously go to Kat Ross of the Australian National University and the ACT High Performance Program, where she is coached by Renee Domashens. And then a battle between the 2 PR2 men's single scullers, Simon Albury of Torrens, coached by Christine McLaren, and Gavin Fulsham of Hawke's Bay, coached by Ross Webb and Simon Lack. I'm assuming that's the Hawke's Bay club in New Zealand, right? Which is
well, that's what I'm assuming as well. But one should never assume.
One should never assume. No, exactly. One of someone
make
somewhere.
An ass of you and me.
Someone will know somewhere, I'm sure. But I think of Hawke's Bay, I tend to think of wine more than anything else. But I'm sure it's also a great rowing part of the world. Gavin Fulsham there from Hawke's Bay. Simon Albury of Torrens.
Christine McLaren. I saw Christine in the grandstand, I think that was yesterday, and she's been working in rowing in South Australia for some time now and does a great job year in and year out, does Christine McLaren.
And also doing a pretty good job here is Catherine Ross of the ACT. She's about to pass through, it'll be the halfway mark, the 500 metre mark, I should say, of this race. So 500 gone, and Catherine Ross is our race leader, and confirmation that it is the Hawke's Bay club from New Zealand, which is the home of Gavin Fulsham, who sits in 2nd place on the course, although 1st place in the PR2 men's category, ahead of Simon Albury of Torrens. About 6 seconds between Kat Ross, our race leader, and Gavin Fulsham, who leads the men's division, and you can see there almost 20 seconds and back to the Torrens sculler, Simon Albury in 3rd place.
Kath, very experienced at international level, having rowed at the Paralympics and a number of world championships, and certainly a lot more experience than Simon Albury and Gavin Fulsham, possibly combined, to be honest, but doing a great job out there. And Renee Domashens, as I've repeatedly said over the last 5 days, doing a fantastic job at the ACT Academy of Sport in conjunction with the evergreen Nick Garrett. When I say evergreen, mostly, ladies and gentlemen, that means they're really old.
Never been used in reference to you, but I'm sure.
Oh, of course not. No.
So a good decision here by the officials to combine these 2 races too. It would have been a row over to Kat Ross otherwise, but now she's able to test herself out against two male scullers, and is exactly showing her years of experience in this category of racing, sitting a couple of lengths ahead of both of the men in this race. Gavin Fulsham of Hawke's Bay in New Zealand, still there leading the male category of the event, racing in lane 5, and Simon Albury in lane 4, so the centre lane of the course.
Look at it out there now, Richard. That is just scintillating. It really is fantastic conditions. Gavin Fulsham's coached by Ross Webb and Simon Lack. And as we said, Simon Albury's coached by Christine McLaren, and Renee Domashens coaching Catherine Ross. And the Hawke's Bay colours there. Torrens in the red and white. So much like Mossman.
Just to confuse us, yes.
Yeah. And Catherine Ross rowing for the Australian National University Boat Club. So again, we thank the guys from BMA and our drone pictures and John Meekings. It's sensational what we've been able to bring, not just to you on the big screen, but to lots of people who are watching the live streaming at home, even on their telephones. And those of you who are concerned that they can't see the little box in the corner here at the grounds, it looks sensational on your phone. It really does. So we're terribly sorry we can't have everything. We can't have the massive results here and the small one for those at home. So the compromise is the small one will remain for the time being. But as I said, pull out your phone and have a look at it. It looks sensational on the phone.
Yeah, it does indeed. You don't miss a thing. We were reminiscing with Lizzie earlier this morning, Ray, about how hard it used to be to find results from the Nationals. If you weren't here, I recall listening to you and Roger from the course many times, trying to keep up with what was happening, but and looking at text results come in split by split. But now it's just so easy to get all this footage coming through on your phone, so you really can keep up with the event from anywhere in the world. It's just it's wonderful to see.
And I was in the grandstand before, and someone actually asked me about a program. I said, well, it's all on your phone. It is all on your laptop or your device.
Yeah, exactly.
On your tablet or your phone. And some of us are a bit technophobic, struggle with that a bit, but that's the way it is. And certainly meetings I attend now, agendas are on my laptop, and the meeting papers are on my laptop, and we've saved a few trees by doing it.
As long as you remember to take your charger is the main thing. But it is great to see, and not just this regatta too, but so many regattas around the country are being live streamed now. I know the head of the schoolgirls from the Barwon a couple of weekends ago, every single race there was streamed live. The heads of the river certainly in both Adelaide and Perth. I was looking at the tapes of those a few days ago to see what had happened over there. It is making rowing so much more accessible for those of us who like to know what's going on when you can't be in all places at the same time.
Well, and one of the byproducts may well be that there are fewer people in the grandstand, but that's a byproduct in all sports that are televised these days. I love my horse racing, and fewer people go to the races now because they can sit in a pub and or watch it on their phone. I certainly see my son-in-law has got interest in horses. There's a lot of time spent on the phone on Saturdays and Sundays, that's for sure. Yeah. And that's one of the byproducts. But it's making the sport accessible. This sport accessible to people without having to be here. And as I said, I've already received a text message from Georgia Peterson's mum, who's watching it back in Brisbane. And my old coach has commented a number of times on the stuff he's been watching. And he's not here this year for the first time in I don't know how long, but that's because he's off to Victoria tomorrow to another event, not another rowing event, but it's so accessible, and he even was here last year and stopped on the drive to Melbourne to watch a Pine Rivers crew in the final of a race, on his phone. So it's technology. It is the way it is, and we need to embrace it and the opportunities that it gives to spread rowing. We know we've got people watching it overseas, and I'll check with Andrew 1.0 at lunchtime just to see what our numbers of live streaming are, but it was the best part of 32,000 early this morning when we arrived here in the dark. And this last race before lunch drawing to its conclusion with another fantastic performance by Catherine Ross of the ANU, an Australian Capital Territory program.
She is also a three-time world champion, Catherine Ross. Gold medals in the 2013, 14 and 15 World Championships
with Gavin
in the
Bellis.
Mixed double sculls.
Gavin's retired to the Gold Coast, I believe, as a former military man.
Okay.
And I believe he's retired to the Gold Coast these days.
Can't blame him for that.
No.
And a silver medalist at the Paralympics in Beijing too, Catherine Ross. So Eric Horry's 5 world championships, but not too far behind is Cat Ross, 3, and an Olympic silver medal to her name as well, and another national title coming up as well. So a couple of strokes to go for Cat Ross, coached by Renee Domashens from the Australian National University and the ACT High Performance Program. She wins the PR2 Women's Single Scull event. And the next category, the men's category, about to be concluded as well. And it will be Gavin Fulsham from the Hawke's Bay Club in New Zealand, who is across the line shortly, coached by Ross Webb and Simon Lack. Now, Gavin Fulsham takes out the Australian title in the PR2 men's single scull in over 2,000 metres. You can see there Cat Ross's time, 9:51. So again, very close to a 10-minute 2,000 metre journey. Of course, difficult to compare the PR2 and PR1 times, but that's definitely a good effort by Catherine Ross. Gavin Fulsham across to take out the men's event. His time would be just over 10 minutes and 10 seconds. And the Torrens sculler, Simon Albury, coached by Christine McLaren, will finish in third place.
Wait till he finishes, John, before we do this medal presentation. Yeah, we kind of got it. kind of. No, kind of don't want it, but yeah, got it.
So Simon Albury of Torrens, the remaining sculler on the course, being followed in by the officials. We'll have a brief break off the water before we resume racing in about 40 minutes' time. Presentation still to follow for a few of these para rowing events, so stay in the grandstand and watch these great para athletes receive their medals as well. And Simon Albury approaching the line now, about 20 or so metres to go. And he will be across to take out second place. Officially across the line now in the PR2 men's single scull. Gavin Fulsham first, Simon Albury in second place, and Catherine Ross takes out the women's event.
Presentation of medals for the PR1 Men's Single Scull Championship of Australia. Medals will be presented by Mr. Gordon Marks, Head Coach Para Rowing, Rowing Australia. Gold medalist and Australian champion for 2019, representing Sydney Rowing Club and N-Swiss, Eric Horry. And Eric is coached by Jason Baker. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate the 2009 Australian champion, Eric Horry. Presentation of medals for the PR2 Women's Single Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Mr. Gordon Marks, Para Rowing Head Coach, Rowing Australia. Gold medalist and Australian champion for 2019, representing ANU in the ACT High Performance Program, is Catherine Ross. And Cat is coached by Renee Domashens. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate the 2019 Australian champion, Cat Ross. Presentation of medals for the PR2 Men's Single Scull Championship of Australia. And again, the medals will be presented by Mr. Gordon Marks, Para Rowing Head Coach for Rowing Australia. Gold medalist and Australian champion for 2019, representing Hawke's Bay Rowing Club, is Gavin Fulsham. And Gavin is coached by Ross Webb and Simon Lack. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate the 2019 Australian champion.